Dinar investors rejoice. Wells Fargo Bank confirms high rate released. Ready for gains? Iraqi Dinar with the intro for your channel RV News. Welcome back to RV News, the channel where we bring you the latest, most accurate, and critical updates on the Iraqi Dinar IQD, the Vietnamese Dong VND, and everything related to the revaluation movement. If you're holding dinar or dong or closely following the global currency reset, then today's news will absolutely electrify your world. We've got a major breakthrough coming straight out of the banking sector, according to multiple emerging reports and insider confirmations. Wells Fargo Bank has finally acknowledged the release of a high exchange rate for the Iraqi dinar, signaling a potential end to the long wait for investors who've held firm through years of speculation, anticipation, and uncertainty. Now, before we dive into this massive update, you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe to RV News. We're your go-to destination for real-time developments, rate confirmations, redemption center, insights, and the bigger financial picture behind the revaluation of currencies worldwide. Let's get right into it. So, what exactly happened at Wells Fargo? According to multiple banking insiders and first-hand reports from dinar holders visiting branch locations across the U.S., Wells Fargo has internally confirmed the release of a new higher exchange rate for the Iraqi dinar. The rate, not yet visible on public forex platforms or online currency converters, is reportedly being shown on restricted internal banking screens accessible only to specific wealth management and foreign currency desks. Some individuals have even reported appointments being offered at foreign exchange departments, with the caveat that final confirmations are still being processed. While we're still waiting for widespread public disclosure from Wells Fargo's media or PR departments, the pattern of behavior is consistent with previous revaluation protocol expectations. In other words, the RV might not go public all at once, but is instead being rolled out quietly. First through major banks like Wells Fargo, Chase, and HSBC. If you're wondering whether this could be the real deal, you're not alone. Thousands of dinar holders are calling their banks, checking currency rates, and booking appointments. And according to those with wealth management relationships at Wells Fargo, some rates north of $3.70 and even $4.20 per IQD have been seen. Though these are not confirmed as public rates yet, let's take a moment to talk about the background here. For years, the Iraqi dinar has been pegged artificially low, a legacy of sanctions, war, and economic rebuilding. But Iraq isn't just any country, it's one of the world's richest in natural resources, particularly oil, with strategic geopolitical positioning and growing international partnerships. In the past few months, we've seen rapid strides from the Iraqi government under PM Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, including new oil contracts with China, talks with the IMF, and even discussions about reducing reliance on the US dollar in regional transactions. All of these are clear signals that Iraq is asserting its financial independence. Its currency is central to that plan. So when we hear that a bank as prominent as Wells Fargo is acknowledging a higher IQD rate, I have to ask, is the long-awaited revaluation finally underway? Here's what we know so far. Several dinar holders who contacted Wells Fargo over the past 48 hours were told by branch staff that a new rate is now showing internally, but has not yet been activated for public exchange. One particularly well-connected source shared that their Wells Fargo branch manager told them the currency desk received an alert early this week that new high-level rates are now loaded in the system. This would align with how banks typically prepare for major currency shifts by updating internal systems. Before rolling out public rates, another key piece of the puzzle is the sudden reactivation of foreign currency desks that had been dormant for years. Wells Fargo, like many major U.S. banks, had previously suspended over-the-counter purchases and exchanges of the IQD. However, reports indicate that some of these desks are now not only open, but also scheduling clients under the premise of currency updates pending clearance. That's a major shift in tone and action. Some have speculated that this early rollout at Wells Fargo could be part of a testing window. Prior to a full-blown revaluation announcement, this has long been expected by seasoned RV analysts who believe that Tier 1 banks would begin processing high volume, high net worth clients before opening the floodgates to the broader public. If that's what we're witnessing now, then it means the larger revaluation mechanism is officially in motion. Let's talk about rate figures. While no public confirmation has been issued, the most common numbers being discussed are between $3.71 to $4.25 per IQD, which aligns with pre-2003 rates adjusted for inflation and economic growth. At $4 per dinner, a holder of just $1 million IQD would be sitting on $4 million USD. Think about that. The potential wealth transformation this could bring to everyday people is staggering. But here's something even more remarkable. Some early reports are hinting at the possibility of contract rates, specialized rates offered to certain groups, often under NDA being even higher, possibly north of $6. Again, these numbers are speculative and unverified for public access. But given the momentum, we cannot rule them out. Wells Fargo, being one of the primary players in Tier 1 banking, could be a central distribution point for such contract rates, especially if working in conjunction with Treasury-backed redemption processes. Now let's address the bigger question. Is this the real RV or another false alarm? It's true that dinar investors have faced countless delays, rumors, and misleading intel over the years. Many have grown skeptical, and rightfully so. But the difference now lies in tangible banking actions, not just anonymous chatter. We're seeing branches acknowledge rate changes, wealth managers discussing activation protocols, clients being offered early access windows. It's all pointing to something big. There's also been a sudden flurry of global currency movements that point to a larger revaluation scheme underway. Several countries have adjusted their exchange protocols in recent weeks. The IMF recently released updated reports emphasizing global currency alignment and equitable trade exchange rates. Meanwhile, Iraq has intensified its economic reforms, rolled out anti-corruption measures, and solidified international financial agreement steps. Long required to stabilize its currency, it's no coincidence that these developments are occurring simultaneously. It appears that the RV, whether you call it the global currency reset, financial jubilee, or a return to gold-backed standards, is entering an actionable phase. And Wells Fargo's quiet confirmation of a high IQD rate could be the beginning of widespread validation. For those of you holding IQ, now is the time to prepare. Double-check your notes, your currency receipts, and make sure your dinar is verified, clean, and ready for exchange. If Wells Fargo is your bank, consider contacting your local branch, not the generic customer service line, and ask for the foreign currency department. Be polite but direct, and ask whether they are scheduling IQD-related appointments. You might be surprised at the answers you receive. Additionally, be aware of potential scams and disinformation. With this type of financial shift, there will always be those looking to exploit the unprepared. Stick to reputable sources. Avoid paying upfront fees for exchange appointments. And never give away your currency unless it's during an official transaction with a verified bank or exchange. One last critical point: timing. If Wells Fargo has started moving internally, that means other banks are likely following closely behind. Expect Chase, Bank of America, and possibly HSBC to make similar moves in the coming days or weeks. There's a chance this rollout could accelerate rapidly and quietly before hitting mainstream financial media. This is why staying informed and ready is so important. The revaluation of the Iraqi dinar has always represented more than just currency reform. It's about economic sovereignty, financial realignment, and giving wealth back to nations and individuals who have been marginalized by outdated systems. Iraq's time appears to be here, and for those who believed, waited, and held strong. The reward may be just around the corner, so what comes next? Keep an eye on your bank communications. Monitor Forex platforms, even though rates might appear their last. Stay in touch with trusted RV groups and news channels like RV News. We'll be here around the clock, monitoring every twist and turn, bringing you the facts as they emerge, not rumors, not hype, but real-world updates. Let's recap. Multiple independent confirmations suggest that Wells Fargo Bank has released or is actively preparing to release a high exchange rate for the Iraqi dinar. These reports come from branch visits, insider alerts, and wealth manager communications. Rates being seen range between $3.70 and $4.25, with possible contract rates even higher. Redemption desks are being reactivated, appointments are being scheduled, and the infrastructure for currency revaluation appears to be falling into place. This is not speculation anymore, this is logistics. The revaluation might not hit every location at the same time. Early redemptions could begin through Tier 1 banks under controlled settings, possibly under NDAs or with confidentiality clauses. But the wheels are in motion, and why?